In the 10th year of my stand-in marriage, my sister came back from the dead. The room fell silent as every eye turned toward her. She yawned and ran a hand through her carefully tousled hair. 13 countries, she drawled, her tone thick with feigned exhaustion. I am beat. Her gaze swept across the room. Where's Leo? He must be in elementary school now. Shouldn't he come greet his real mother? Leo was her son. A decade ago, she gave birth, then vanished on her wedding day, leaving behind her fiancé and newborn. The Hayes family had long held power and influence. East Coast aristocracy, through and through. My parents, terrified of the scandal, had chosen me, fresh out of college, to step into her place at the altar. For 10 years, I played the role perfectly. A dutiful wife. A devoted mother. Now, standing before my sister, witnessing her entitled presence, my parents' eyes flicked toward me. I returned a soft, composed smile. Leo and his father are in the Cayman Islands this week, I said evenly. Vivian's brows knitted in annoyance. I told you I was coming back. Didn't you let Julian know? I sipped my coffee with deliberate calm. 10 years had changed me. I was no longer the transparent girl living in my sister's dazzling shadow. My silence seemed to infuriate her. She sprang to her feet, voice sharp. Nora Chen, what do you mean by that? Don't forget, I'm the one with the marriage contract. Do you really think you can just sit in my place as Mrs. Hayes now? I looked at her, a faint smile tugging at my lips. I don't know what you mean, Vivian. Julian and I have a strong relationship. It was true. A decade of shared galas, business dinners, and weekend retreats had bound us together. The golden couple in everyone's eyes. Julian's image as a devoted husband earned the trust and admiration of countless colleagues. Romance might not have flourished between us, but we were tied together by something more durable than love, strategy, influence, and empire. That was my strength. Vivian's face morphed into disbelief. She pointed at me, trembling with anger.
Nora.
No shame at all? He's your brother-in-law. I set my coffee down, standing tall and unyielding. No, I said, voice steady. He is my legal husband. I met her gaze, prepared to put an end to this charade. My parents wrung their hands, utterly useless. Vivian lunged toward my mother, clutching her sleeve. Mom, she's lost it. Julian and I were college sweethearts. Without me, without the Hayes family, would our company be where it is? Our parents had always favored her, but now my mother glanced at me, hesitant. But you disappeared, Vivi. Faked your death. We heard nothing for 10 years. The wedding was happening. There was no bride. If it hadn't been for your sister stepping in, the public embarrassment would have ruined the Hayes family and us. Vivian froze for a moment. I just wasn't ready. But now I'm back, aren't I? She faltered. Besides, the Hayes family is always so snobby. If I had married then, they would have treated me like dirt. I asked calmly, so why have you returned? Her answer was pure vanity. They've accepted you, haven't they? So they'll accept me. Perfect. I can marry Julian, the family will have to be polite, and Leo gets his real mother. Win-win. She stepped closer, clasping my hands, eyes wide and earnest. Nora, you're free. Go live your own life. I stared into her eyes, unmoved. I saw the innocence of someone who had always been spoiled, adored, and unchallenged, a cruelty in its certainty. She believed my life existed solely for her convenience. I let out a cold laugh, pulling my hands away. I am happy with my life, Vivian. You're the one who needs a reality check. Turning, I walked from the house that had never felt like home. Vivian's feelings were irrelevant. I knew she would not give up easily. Back at the Hayes estate, fatigue settled over me. For the past week, I had been consumed by a new project, working late into the night. I stepped inside, rubbing the bridge of my nose. An hour ago, my parents had texted, "Your sister's back." My body had stiffened. I had always known this day might come, yet the reality still stunned me. I hung my purse and noticed a pair of men's dress shoes neatly on the mat. I froze briefly, then schooled my features into a warm, welcoming smile. "You're back," a smooth, familiar voice asked. I turned around. Julian Hayes stood there in a black silk pajama set that outlined his lean frame, broad shoulders, and narrow waist. The soft light reflected off his gold-rimmed glasses, framing those familiar, calm eyes. He studied me for a moment, a faint crease appearing between his brows. You look exhausted. Haven't you been sleeping well? I smiled lightly. Just a lot of late nights at work. How was your trip? How's Leo? Julian stepped closer, pulling me into a gentle embrace. His chin rested against my shoulder, his warm breath brushing the side of my neck. His long fingers traced absent, soothing patterns down my spine. Leo had a great time, he murmured.
He's already asleep.
The only thing missing was you. Next time, we'll all go together. His tone softened, a quiet intimacy threading through it. I missed you. The heat of his body pressed against me, but beneath it, a chill crept up my skin. Then came the lightest touch, his lips brushing the back of my neck. My whole body stiffened. Vivian's words from earlier echoed relentlessly in my mind. I didn't melt into his arms as usual. Instead, I took a small step forward, putting a sliver of distance between us. The word barely left my lips before he caught the hesitation. I felt it, a subtle shift in his posture, a tightening of restraint. A beat later, Julian finished for me, voice calm once more. You're tired. Take a bath, get some rest. He was offering me an escape. Then, as if sealing the thought, he pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. I nodded silently and started upstairs. Behind me, the man I'd shared 10 years of life with stood motionless in the shadows. The air between us cooled, heavy with something unspoken. His gaze followed me as I disappeared down the hall, the weight of secrets settling between us. The next morning, I left for work as usual. Just as I drove past the gates of our community, a figure darted out in front of my car. My hands tightened around the wheel.
Vivian.
She waved frantically, forcing me to slam on the brakes. The car behind me honked impatiently. It was morning rush hour. A security guard ran over to pull her aside, but she fought him off, screaming at the top of her lungs. Nora Chen, stop pretending. How can you sleep with your sister's husband? Her shrill voice cut through the air like glass, drawing stares from every direction. I parked and got out, my expression composed and cold. Vivian smirked, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear, satisfaction glittering in her eyes.
What's wrong? She teased.
Afraid Julian will find out I'm back and toss you out? My voice was steady as ice. Vivian, this is your last warning. Stay away from me. She only laughed, stepping closer. Oh, don't act brave. You've been jealous of me since we were kids. It must have felt amazing, finally taking what was mine. Then she leaned in, her voice dropping low, almost gleeful. But a cuckoo never keeps its nest. Julian will know the truth soon enough. He'll forgive me. And Leo, my son, will always be mine. Don't you dare think you can replace me. I said nothing. I simply turned, got back in my car, and drove off. In the rearview mirror, she stood there smirking, the morning sun casting her in a cruel kind of brilliance. A chill ran through me. Vivian had grown up untouchable, her tantrums destroying everything in their path. She'd never learned consequences, only indulgence. I inhaled deeply, forcing her out of my mind. I had spent 10 years building this life, this partnership, this empire. If the marriage collapsed, it wouldn't just destroy me. It would drag Julian down too. The difference was he would survive. I wouldn't. At my desk, I tried to focus on work, but old memories crept in, vivid and unwelcome. When we were children, Vivian spent her summers running wild, never touching her homework. Every year, on the first day back, she'd beg to copy mine. My parents always excused it. Nora's grades are good. The teacher won't mind. But if Vivian gets scolded, she'll be humiliated. So I learned to do 2 sets of homework every holiday. One for me, one for her. In high school, she found new hobbies, boys, attention, chaos. She flirted with the football captain, charmed the teachers, got into fights, and somehow always walked away unscathed. Her grades were a disaster, but her smile made everyone forgive her. I learned to live carefully, one calculated step at a time. In college, she met Julian. They clicked instantly, forming a small band and performing in smoke-filled bars. While they played for tips and attention, I was juggling 3 part-time jobs to keep up with tuition. By the time graduation came, I'd saved enough to finally move out, to start over, far from home. But that plan vanished the night Vivian stumbled into the house, reeking of alcohol, her face streaked with makeup. Within hours, she was in the hospital. The test results came back. She was pregnant. My parents were horrified. Vivian, however, was detached, almost amused, as if none of it had anything to do with her. The Hayes family was furious but trapped. Their reputation was at stake. My parents, desperate, began negotiating. Vivian stayed home, pampered and protected while my father brokered the marriage deal. Once the baby was born and the DNA confirmed, the wedding would proceed. It was less a celebration than damage control. The night before the wedding, I drove home after my shift, only to wake to chaos the next morning. The bridal cars had arrived, guests were waiting, and Vivian was gone. In her place was a sleeping infant, Leo, and a furious Hayes family demanding answers. Julian's face was unreadable but dark, restrained rage simmering beneath the surface. My parents panicked, searching for a way out. Then, slowly, their eyes turned toward me. My mother's face lit up like a woman seeing salvation. "We still have Nora. She's never even had a boyfriend." My father nodded frantically.
Yes.
"Nora, your sister's gone. You're the only one who can fix this." I froze. Their words didn't make sense. Before I could speak, they grabbed me, dragging me toward the bridal suite. "No," I shouted, struggling, horror crashing over me. I had lived my whole life in Vivian's shadow. Was I now meant to live her life too? The injustice hit me so hard it burned. For the first time in my life, I screamed. Why should I pay for her mistakes? It's always been her first, always her. My father's hand struck my cheek, sharp and final. "She is your sister." I staggered back, the sting echoing louder than the slap itself. My mother sobbed. "We know it's unfair, but the guests are waiting. If we lose the Hayes family, we lose everything." My voice trembled, but my words were cold and certain. "I won't do it." They pleaded, begged, tried to force me again. Desperation twisted something inside me. I grabbed a fruit knife from a nearby table, pressing it to my throat. "If you make me, I'll end it right here." The room went still. Maybe they feared my death. Or maybe they just feared the scandal that would follow. At that moment, I didn't care which. Then Julian's voice broke the silence. "Let me talk to her alone." The others hesitated, but eventually filed out. The door closed softly behind them, leaving just the two of us in the bridal suite. Julian Hayes stood across from me, calm, silent, unreadable. And I realized for the first time, my life was about to change forever. Half an hour later, the bridal suite doors opened. I stood in the wedding gown, a blank mask over my face as I placed a hand on Julian Hayes' arm. I walked down the aisle with a smile that concealed more pain than tears, completing the ceremony with mechanical precision. Back in the present, I leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window of my office, gazing at the city below. 10 years of effort, sacrifice, and relentless work had brought me here. A sudden chill brushed my neck. Arms wrapped around me from behind. I startled but relaxed as the familiar scent of sandalwood reached me. "What are you thinking about?" I walked in, and you didn't even notice. A deep, magnetic voice murmured. I smiled softly. "Just the investor conference tomorrow." Julian's hands settled on my shoulders as he turned me to face him. "I have full confidence in you. Your skills speak for themselves." I tilted my head, lips curling. "And you? What brings you here? Isn't headquarters swamped?" "Nothing I can't handle," he replied. "I came to pick you up, and to tell you Leo wants to see that new movie tomorrow." Distracted, I nodded. Julian leaned down, brushing a soft kiss across my lips. I returned it with a gentle smile. When I arrived home that evening, Vivian was nowhere in sight. The quiet felt strange, almost threatening. I assumed my parents had confined her somewhere, desperate to contain her. Exhaustion took me immediately. I fell asleep the second my head touched the pillow. In the middle of the night, a strong arm wrapped around me, pulling me into a secure embrace. I murmured softly, too tired to protest. The following day, the investor conference buzzed with the city's elite. I navigated the crowd, exchanging pleasantries before slipping away to the lounge for a moment of calm. Leo sat patiently on the sofa. His face lit up when he saw me. "Mommy, are we going to the movies after this?" I smiled, tweaking his nose. "Of course. When have Mommy and Daddy ever broken a promise to you?" His laughter melted some of my tension. Breathing deeply, I turned to rejoin the main hall and froze. Across the room, Vivian stood with Julian, her hand clutching his arm. Julian's back shielded his expression from me. Then she saw me. A dramatic finger pointed. A piercing shriek split the air. "I'm his wife. She stole him and our child from me." Conversations hushed, glasses clinked once, then silence fell. Every eye in the room turned toward me. Cameras flashed. Press scribes murmured. Vivian's face was the picture of wounded innocence. Her fingers dug into Julian's arm, voice trembling but clear. "Julian, tell them. We were in love." I was just scared, unready, but Nora, she swooped in and took my place. The whispers grew into a roar. "Who is she? Is Leo really her son?" This is tonight's headline. Julian remained silent. I gripped my wine glass tightly. Vivian's glare bored into me.
Nora.
You knew. You knew Leo was mine. How could you do this? Are you that desperate? You'd even take your sister's husband for money. Finally, I spoke, icy and controlled. "Vivian, this is not the place for theatrics. What you're doing is slander. I could take legal action." Unfazed, she scoffed. Just then, two more figures pushed through the crowd. My hand tightened into a fist, nails digging into my palm. My parents approached, mother's voice laced with false concern. "Nora, just get a divorce. This marriage is a mistake. It will ruin you." My father's tone joined hers. "Have you no heart? Your sister has known nothing but comfort. How could you make her watch the man she loves spend his life with you? You'll drive her into despair." I smiled with bitter sarcasm. Who had begged me to take her place? Vivian had never known hardship. My life had been one long sacrifice, and now they demanded more. Julian stepped forward, sliding an arm protectively around my shoulders. His voice cut through the chaos, calm and resonant. "My wife has always been Nora Chin." Vivian's face twisted. "Julian,
You.
forget everything we had." I spoke, cold and precise. "The past? What past?" "Vivian, this is neither the time nor the place for your theatrics or for social climbing." Her eyes narrowed. "Social climbing?" "Yes," I replied sharply. "Or did you just realize your sister's husband wields power and you wanted a piece?" My words shifted the room. Understanding spread through the crowd like a wave. "Oh, so it's the sister who's envious. No wonder she's unknown. And clearly the parents play favorites. To throw a scene at this event? Obvious humiliation." Vivian stuttered, shocked. My parents' faces darkened. She gritted her teeth. "Nora, stop defaming me." Then, tearful and pleading, she turned to Julian. "Don't you still care?" Julian's gaze, cold and unwavering, stayed locked on her face. Security arrived swiftly, apologizing to Julian. "Sir, we were misled by her claim. We thought she knew Mrs. Hayes." Vivian's panic rose. "I'm Leo's mother. This is my family." I cut her off. "Do you have an invitation?" The question froze her. "You don't," I said, "and you're causing a public disturbance. Security, escort her out." Guards moved in, removing a screaming Vivian from the ballroom. I exhaled slowly, tension easing. Julian squeezed my hand in silent support. I managed a weak smile. The guests returned to their business. Julian guided me toward the lounge. "Don't worry," he murmured. "The tabloids won't touch this. Tomorrow, the story will only be about our devotion." His calm was absolute, terrifying in its perfection. Julian had shed the impulsive boy I once knew. Now he was pure calculation, pure haze. A bitter smile touched my lips. That, after all, was why I had agreed to this life. As we reached the lounge door, he leaned down and kissed my forehead. "Rest. We'll go home together after the conference." I nodded, but then a sudden panic gripped me. "Julian, Leo's gone." Julian's expression darkened as he darted into the room. The sofa where Leo had been sitting was empty, and a crumpled stuffed elephant lay abandoned on the carpet. I snatched it up, fingers numb. It was Leo's favorite, always at his side. "Who came in here?" Julian demanded, his voice taut with restrained fury as he glared at the guard. The young man paled. "And no one, sir, we've been right outside." Only Mrs. Hayes entered. "Leo was right here," I whispered, panic tightening my chest. He was so good, waiting for me. I'd raised him from infancy. In my heart, he was mine. All I could do was hope Vivian's maternal instincts hadn't been completely buried under her selfishness. Julian immediately took charge. "Get the security footage. Lock down all exits. No one leaves this building." Even as he barked orders with precision, I noticed the slight tremor in his hand, the first crack in his otherwise perfect composure. We rushed to the security room. The hallway camera was broken. Only the lounge feed remained. My blood ran cold. On the screen, Leo sat quietly on the sofa. The door opened. A shadow blocked the view, but Leo's face lit up as he stood and walked toward it. "It's Vivian," I yelled, nails biting into my palms. She took him while everyone was distracted. Julian's jaw clenched. "She wouldn't harm him," he said, though his eyes were ice. He dialed quickly. "Williams, find her location."
Now.
The conference descended into controlled chaos. Julian's calm command kept the public unaware as he explained Leo had been taken to the hospital due to a sudden illness. We drove to my parents' home. My grip on the steering wheel tight. "It'll be fine," Julian said, clasping my hand. His own hand was cold but steady. "Vivian won't hurt him. She's using him as leverage." "Leverage?" I forced calm. "For money? Or for you?" No words were needed. Our silent understanding was clear. Leo's safety came first. Arriving at the house, we found Vivian in the living room, holding Leo while he watched TV. He waved at us with innocent delight. "All right, Vivian," I said evenly. "What are your terms?" She ignored me, eyes fixed on Julian. "I just want things back the way they were. Julian, we were happy. And he's my son. I would never hurt him." Julian stepped forward, icy and commanding. "Vivian, let the boy go." She clutched him tighter, whispering lies of comfort. Leo wiggled, voice trembling. "Mom, I want to go home." The word mommy shattered her composure. Her smile froze, replaced by raw envy. She shoved him. He fell, hitting his head, crying instantly. My heart clenched. Vivian's face twisted with fury. "You traitor!" I carried him. She raised her hand, aiming for him. The front door burst open. Julian's mother entered, radiating cold authority. Vivian froze, abandoning Leo to plead desperately with her. A strange feeling crept over me. Vivian seemed unhinged. Mrs. Hayes's voice cut through sharply. "Vivian? The name rings a bell. You're my daughter-in-law's sister, correct?" Vivian faltered. "No. Julian and we were in love." "That's enough," Mrs. Hayes interrupted. "Julian and Nora have a strong marriage. The Hayes family needs no other daughter-in-law." Vivian crumpled. The matriarch's power over the empire was absolute. With her backing, Vivian had no leverage. Of course, Mrs. Hayes's support had little to do with me personally. It was about what I contributed to the family's empire, about the bottom line. Leo scrambled into my arms, and Vivian instinctively reached out, but caught nothing. As we left, I glanced back. Vivian's pale, ashen face was twisted in obsession. She had always been selfish, but now her fixation on the Hayes name had become pathological. In the weeks that followed, my parents kept Vivian confined, not out of conscience, but because Julian had applied pressure on their failing company. Investors and partners were pulling back. Their small business teetered on collapse. With Vivian out of the way, I focused on protecting Leo. I hired a driver to take him to and from school. Thankfully, he seemed resilient. The incident left no lasting scars. Then my assistant delivered a report that froze me. My mother had been buying infant supplies and herbal remedies for pregnant women. I immediately launched a private investigation into Vivian's time abroad. 2 weeks later, the truth emerged. She'd lived recklessly, and a month before returning home, she had become pregnant from a one-night encounter. Vivian had no plans, no foresight. Her lifestyle had caught up with her. Stress, pregnancy, dwindling money, all combined into desperation. She had come back to claim the Hayes name and secure her unborn child a place of privilege. Her frantic attempt to use Leo as leverage was doomed from the start. I calculated her due date. The confinement was only because her pregnancy could no longer be hidden. Autumn winds rattled the window panes. I locked the file in my safe and glanced at a photo of Leo hugging his stuffed elephant. His innocent smile shone like sunlight, untarnished by the chaos around him. I would protect that innocence no matter what. "Nora," Julian said softly, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Tomorrow we attend my mother's birthday at the estate." I nodded, fingers brushing the jade charm I had made for him when Leo was born, a talisman for luck and protection. The next morning, as we prepared to leave, the butler announced, "Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, someone from the Chin family is here." "Mrs. Hayes' sister, she's in labor." I froze. Not because Vivian was pregnant, but because my family had made it public. Something was very wrong. Julian's quiet, steady voice cut through the tension. "Do you want to go in?" I met his unwavering gaze and nodded.
Yes.
I should be there. We drove through the city to the hospital. The antiseptic scent was sharp, almost suffocating. Outside the delivery room, my parents slumped in the chairs, exhausted. Stress and worry had drained them completely, their hair now streaked with gray. They glanced at me, but no words came. I ignored them, focusing on the door. Vivian had gone into premature labor. Minutes later, the overhead light switched off, and a weary doctor stepped out. Miss Chen experienced a severe hemorrhage. We did everything possible, but his voice trailed. My parents crumpled to the floor, grief-stricken. And the baby, my mother whispered, clinging to a sliver of hope. The doctor hesitated. Due to complications stemming from the mother's health and lifestyle during pregnancy, the infant's condition is critical. A nurse appeared, holding a tiny, fragile bundle. The baby was shockingly small, less than 3 pounds, skin wrinkled and blotchy, limbs bent unnaturally. My parents' faces drained of color. From the room came Vivian's agonized wails. She was fighting for her life. They wheeled her out on a gurney, her body pale and weak. Her eyes found mine. With great effort, she tried to lift a trembling hand. Everyone paused. I stepped closer, leaning down, bracing myself for whatever venomous words she had left. Her voice was a ragged whisper, sharp with bitterness. The Hayes family picked you for their business. This marriage, you'll never find happiness.